Coming to you from the back room of your parents' favorite porn store, it is Cursory Overload.
You're listening to Cursory Overload.
And we're in this motherfucker.
What up, everybody? It's your boys back for another round of Cursory motherfucking Overload.
Motherfucking Overload.
You know, I was reading a recent study, and the study says that listening to Cursory Overload is quite honestly the best thing in the world.
Sounds accurate.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, and they actually say the only thing that even comes close is when you go down on your woman while she's on the phone with her mom, and you know she's a screamer.
Oh, I see. No, sounds pretty accurate. I think, yeah. I'll go with that one. I think 5 out of whoever the fuck came up with this study, 5 out of 5 recommend it.
That's right. It's like cereal. All the doctors recommend it.
Motherfuckers and motherfuckerettes, thank you for joining us. It's a new day. It's been a very fucked up week. So hopefully we're going to deliver a little, I don't know. I'm not sure.
A little something different.
A little different distraction. I mean, like I said, it's taken a lot for, you know, us to get behind the microphones today. It's one of those, I don't know. Like I said, I just can't let it go. But this episode is kind of special.
Very special.
We had the opportunity to speak with Vic Ferrari. He's a retired NYPD detective, and he's also an author. Which, speaking of, let me see. I got the titles here written down somewhere.
Right here.
Oh, you have them?
Yeah, we got NYPD Law and Disorder.
Yep.
And he also wrote NYPD's Flying Circus, Cops, Crimes, and Chaos.
Yep.
NYPD Through the Looking Glass.
All right, hold on.
Grand Theft Auto. And before we get to one of my favorites, which as soon as I contacted him and I started looking into stuff, I downloaded this one because it's so cursory overload. But right.
Okay, the new one that's not out yet should be available by August, I believe. Confessions of a Catholic High School Graduate. That's the new one, which. But the one that I just had to have. Come on.
You had to have it.
I had to have it, and apparently it caught your attention too.
Yeah, because I mentioned something about it.
Yeah. What had happened was, luckily one of us was able to take the lead on that. I had to give up my line to record. So I played DJ on this one, you know. I played DJ in the background.
Hey, DJ.
And we had the KDOGG took over the interview. So, like I said, you don't hear much from me because I'm monitoring shit because we used this other program that we normally don't use. And
Right.
And it just messed with me.
Yeah.
Let's see if next time we can convince him to use the old Skyforce.
Right. No. When you hear it, please bear with me. I am no Walter motherfucking Cronkite.
You could have fooled me, motherfucker. But anyway, actually, I think it's it went very smooth, man. Now, of course, I am biased, but it's something that I hope you guys enjoy. I mean, he tells stories of when he worked with NYPD. Now, I do apologize. There were some technical difficulties. Like I said, that's why I had to give up my line in order to record them. And,
well, you know, I think that's part of what you guys like about us is the fact that we're not polished, we're not perfect, we're not like what you normally hear. We keep it 100% real. You know, we're two dudes that just love to talk shit and are learning along the way. So,
pretty much.
I think that's what he's trying to say.
All right. Yeah. Basically, what I'm saying, if I'm saying anything, is that I don't know. I think this is like our second interview ever. I mean, last time we had Scuba Steve, you know, the motocross mechanic.
The motocross mechanic, yeah.
Yep.
He was awesome. I enjoyed him.
Yep. I'm biased there too. Anyway.
Right.
All right. So without further ado, motherfuckerettes, it's you know, hanging out with Vic Ferrari.
Fun, but yeah, I mean, I had a great career. I have no regrets whatsoever. It was a lot of fun, excitement. I got to meet a lot of great people, you know, and as a result of it, years later, I got into writing books, which I guess the NYPD is still paying me back, you know.
Right.
Hey.
So how long have you been able to turn off some of the police mindset since you've been out for so long? Or is that just something that's always, you know, I've noticed that a lot of police, when they're in the profession doing it, they're in one mindset, but they find it very difficult after they leave to kind of go back to civilian life, if you will.
There's definitely a transition period, so it's like you're used to doing something for 20. I guess it would be the same as if you were with somebody and then you got a divorce, right? And then all of a sudden you're waking up and it's like, well, this is great, but then that person isn't there anymore. There's things to learn. You have to, you basically have to reorganize your time, right?
Right.
And like you said, you're in one mindset. Well, that's great while you're a police officer and you're in law enforcement. You never really lose that, but it's almost like you know to pull back with that mentality. You should, at least.
Right.
There's definitely a transition period. I didn't really struggle that much with it because after I retired, I became a police officer down in Florida for a short time, and I absolutely hated it. But that kind of got me down off it a little bit, and that's when I got into writing. I said, I got to do something with my time. You know, I tried a bunch of different things, and I had fun with it, and I'm glad I did. But ultimately, the writing, I think, was the best thing for me.
Okay. And so when you decided to write several books, did you have the intention of writing several, or was it just let me get through one and see how I feel?
You know, the intention, like when I retired, writing a book was the furthest thing from my mind. It was my friends that like, you know, you got all these stories, you should really start stringing them together and write a book. I'm like, you know, like anyone else, I had no formal training. I said, who's going to want to, you know, who wants to hear what I have to say? I said, let me give it a shot. And I put out my first NYPD book, and, you know, I was worried. I didn't know how the public would receive it. I didn't know how my peers would receive it. And surprisingly, both came back positive. And, you know, the two things I set out when I started writing these NYPD books was I didn't want to get anybody in trouble, embarrassed, or divorced.
Right.
So I don't name names. I don't blast people. I just, you know, I change the dates, the locations, the times, the ranks. I might move a character from one story into another to make it, you know, like a Seinfeld episode. You got to string it together.
Right.
But, you know, I had a great career, so my books aren't sour grapes. Oh, I hated this guy. Everybody's got somebody at work they don't like or can't stand. I either choose not to write about those people or I don't put them on blast. I get my point across and I just move on.
Right. Don't give them the time of day anymore.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, just because I've got a forum now, that doesn't make it right to just pummel somebody.
Right.
Because they might have a total different perspective on my opinion, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, even though you think you're right, you might not always be right.
Right. Now, after having wrote 4 about your life as a police officer, and then moving into your life growing up in high school, have you thought about venturing off into other areas, maybe fiction writing, or, you know, kind of go into like a series of books, more like a Bosch or something along that line?
You know, you're not the first person that suggested that to me. I don't know if I could write fiction. Maybe I could. As we speak, I'm in the editing stages. I've got a book coming out called Confessions of a Catholic High School Graduate, and it's about me growing up in the Bronx in the 70s and 80s and the time period and the ridiculous things that I got myself involved in high school, and then basically that Catholic high school prepared me for an NYPD career.
Oh.
Right.
The book opens up with me getting chased out of a confession booth, which really happened.
Okay,
so,
is that
you know,
the
I was
cover?
a smart-ass kid, and, you know, back then, I mean, you know, going to Catholic high school, you stepped out of line, you were going to get dumped. And that kind of prepared me for the police department.
Okay, yeah, so I never experienced Catholic high school, like getting thumped like that, but I do remember myself, I remember in the 6th grade getting called to the principal's office and having to drop the pants and get the paddle right then and there. Was that a common occurrence in Catholic school?
Well, no, I mean, I never had to drop my pants, but here's the thing, like, they didn't just go around, like, pummeling people, but I was a smart ass, and if you stepped out of line, I mean, not every time, but there was a price to be paid. So if you screwed around class, you were definitely getting detention. If your grades weren't where they were supposed to be, they weren't moving you along. You either attended summer school and you had to make up the work at summer school, and if you didn't, you were getting left back, which no kid wants. I mean, that's a fate worse than death, because as a child, every child wants to move on with their friends and get on with their life. You don't want to sit back with a bunch of younger kids and then you're labeled a moron. So I was worried about that in school, but did they hit us? Yeah, it was a smack in the face, a ruler across the knuckles. There's a story in there. We had a brother that had a habit of, he had like this famous move. It was called like a slap and pull. What he would do is he'd slide up to your desk and give you a slap in the face and grab your tie and yank you out of the chair. Now, I always had a problem. To this day, I have a problem tying a tie. I can't tie a Windsor knot for the life of me. So by junior year, I started wearing clip-ons. And one day I was acting up in class. He come walking to the back of the classroom. He grabbed my tie. And when he rocked back to pull, he went backwards with the tie in his hand. And he went flying back. It was like someone pulled the emergency brake on a train. He went sailing through the desks and landed on his desk. And the classroom erupts in laughter. And he's just standing there looking at this rayon tie in his hand. He's like, what the fuck? He throws the tie down. He comes running back up on the aisle. And I'm like, oh, shit. So I got down like a possum. I just kind of covered my head. And he threw me a couple of lefts and rights. And that was the end of it. It's funny, like people ask, like, didn't you tell your parents? It's like, here's the deal. If I went to my parents and I said, brother so-and-so gave me a smack, and my parents would be pissed, and they go, what happened? What did you do? And what does every kid say? Nothing. I didn't do anything, right? Every kid. And I know what my father would have said. Okay, Vic, I'm going to go to school tomorrow, and I'm going to talk to this teacher or priest, and if his story is more believable than yours, you're going to be hanging on a cross next to Jesus. So are you sure you want to go with that story? So I knew, I was like, you know what? Why am I going to roll the dice and relive this again? It's over. Move on with my life. That's just basically how I looked at it as a child.
Yeah, I know. Growing up in my house, it was a big. I would never tell my mom if I ever got in trouble, because then when I got home, I would get it again for embarrassing her.
Oh yeah. Same when I was a kid. I got smacked around by the cops a couple of times, and it didn't. At the time, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But then you look back and you're like, the cops came to this keg party like 10 times. They told us to leave. We didn't leave, and one of us got smart, and, they smacked us around. The difference is back then, like with the police and teachers, the cops wouldn't arrest teenagers for doing stupid shit. They'd give you a kick in the ass or scare the hell out of you. They wouldn't arrest you. You wouldn't get a juvenile record. You know what I mean? It wasn't something that would follow you for the rest of your life. Nowadays, with civil liability and parents looking to sue and all these, pop-up attorneys, it's cops are reluctant to do it. So what are they going to do? They're going to take your kid to a detention center for spray painting and doing something stupid instead of nipping it in the, you know what I mean? So yes, I had that wisdom and experience for some people, but then other people, I'm sure I was a pain in the ass because I'm 40-something years old, and I've got a 28-year-old sergeant who's got his way of doing things. I've got my way of doing things. You know what I mean? So it's shame on me if I'm sitting in the pool and somebody pissed in it. If I don't like it, get up and leave. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not one of these ones that's going to go down with the ship if I don't like what's going on. It's like, well, shame on me if I hang around and then I become a bitter person. And you see that with cops sometimes. They're miserable. They can't retire, or they don't like their job necessarily because of circumstances, or they're burned out, but they want to hit that pension, or they want to stay longer to pad their pension. But it's a game of pension roulette, because it takes its toll on you if you hang around too long and you're miserable. Now, if everything's going well and you're in a good gig, you know what I mean, and you've got like a Mary Poppins type personality, you're going to be fine. But it's the guys that will stay in the same precinct for decades, driving